Answer, because you are that, you are capable, you are gifted, and you are so unique. All of the things that you may hate about yourself are your strengths. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to be different. And it's so okay to just be you. The world awaits to receive you.
Hey, welcome. Special shout out to YouTube. I'm streaming on YouTube tonight. I don't usually stream on YouTube. Only certain topics I choose to talk about on YouTube. So tonight, we're going to actually be talking about YSL and what's going on with the case. Y'all know how I am. I am going to come from a truthful standpoint. I cannot, I'm going to say, I could care less about the people, but I care about the people. Can I say that? Meaning that I have no connections. There's no bias. I definitely don't want to see criminals doing crime, but we do want to talk about what's going on in this court case to keep people abreast. So we have a few clips that's actually brought to you by Law and Crime Network. They have been keeping us abreast of the actual trial, having live screenings of the trial. So I've been watching it. It's been a little dry, a little adventurous, but we want to focus on a few key things that has been happening with the YSL case. And I had this amazing picture that I wanted to start off with. Let me see, can I find it? Because, baby, YSL stressed out. How you be like, baby? He like, what is going on in this case right now? Somebody tell me. Okay? Let me see. I hope I didn't get it out of here. Let's see. I always got so many pictures. Let me see. Can I find the picture that I'm talking about? Because I think he looked a little bit worried. And we also know that one of the defendants' lawyers got held in contempt. So we're going to talk about that because the way that they are perceiving this man, I don't believe that it's totally true. He did an interview, the lawyer. Look at his face, baby. I just got this YSL right now. This is my boy. This is my boy every day in court. All right. So this is who we're going to be talking about tonight. This is our subject matter for tonight, his case and everybody else involved, which is a large racketeering case. We also going to try to bring you a clip brought to you by Lawyers for Workers, who had, an update about this as well. But do you see his face? Do you see my man's face going through it? Okay. All right. So let's start off with Young Thug's judge locks up potential juror for recording a video. So we did talk about that a little bit, but we did not see the clip and see what she was saying and how she got herself almost like really, really caught up. And the way the judge is handling things. Now, I'm going to say I'm not a legal expert, but I am going to give my opinion about the way the judge is coming at this case because it's a little out of pocket. It's a little out of pocket. It's extra and it's weird. Okay. It's a little bit too much, but we got to understand it's about Georgia. And that's what I say. That's my saying for Georgia. Like it's about right. Yeah, that sounds about Georgia because when it comes to things like law, system, the way things are, kind of uniformal in other states, it's completely different out here. And then you'll have, well, that's the way we do it, So let's get this clip started with the judge and one of the actual jurors going back and forth. And we're going to break this down, okay?
All right. Juror 1004, good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Madam, just to recap, you were summoned as a juror on the 17th of March of this year. to begin the jury selection process. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And during that particular process, do you recall, and let me back up just a second. Because of conduct that occurred or alleged conduct that occurred on the 17th of March, you were served with a order to show cause. That was filed on the 20th of March of this year to appear on this date, the 3rd of April at 10 o'clock in courtroom 1C. You received a copy of that notice, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry, y'all.
And that notice also put
Just the
you,
reaction video.
gave you sufficient notice that as to why you should not be held in willful contempt for violating the court's admonitions against improper jury behavior, specifically live streaming the jury selection process on Friday, March the 17th of 2023. Do you recall that? I'm going to include that as a copy of the next court exhibit in order. That's your notice that we gave you. So you are.
A lot of marketers are looking for radical change. But
So he's addressing the fact that she was allegedly live streaming in the court.
Point in time, why shouldn't I hold you in willful contempt?
Okay, so I'm going to explain everything that happened that day on the 17th of March.
Okay, but before then, do you recall this court giving you the ad nauseum admonitions about acceptable behavior?
About having phones out.
Yes.
At the moment when we came in,
Didn't I tell you to turn your phone off?
it was, I'm going to be truthfully and very honest. When it was a lot going on, we had just come from different
Answer my
floors.
question first, and then you can explain it. Do you recall us telling you to turn off your cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you also recall me going through a litany of different things that would cause us to potentially put the case in jeopardy? Do you remember me saying that to you?
I mean, I couldn't hear. It was so much people. It was so many people talking and so many people doing different things. So
people were talking when I was giving that admonition to you?
yes,
Meaning that you didn't hear it? You didn't
Yes.
hear any of the 10 minutes that I went through on the record about the things you couldn't do specifically?
So I'm going to stop right there because the judge is starting to get frustrated and willfully so. I mean, that's about right because when he's giving directions to the jurors, it's pretty quiet in the court. No one is talking. There's about 10-15 minutes that he gives specific directions to the jurors about how the trial is supposed to work, what is actual evidence, what is reasonable doubt, things to that nature, and what to expect, what to do and what not to do. So in this right here, the judge is actually being nice because you're going to listen to her try to lie. And I'm surprised he didn't want to lock her up, but then he wanted to lock the lawyer up. But let's see. I think he's not doing that because if he do that, he's going to be scaring these jurors. They ain't going to want to be dealing with this.
You couldn't research on Google. You couldn't go ahead and otherwise contact your friends on social media. Do you remember that?
well, I remember the part when you saying we had to, but I didn't hear the turn off the phone.
You
until the
remember
middle
me
of the
talking
speech.
about no social media?
Yes,
Do you remember me also pointing to the placards that are on the wall about social media and the things you cannot do?
and I didn't see that until after the fact.
You don't recall me pointing that out to you?
No, sir.
No, they should take her off for incompetency. I'm just playing. She saw him do that.
But you were, in fact, told to, one, put away your phones, and two, that you could not otherwise, you do remember, you couldn't otherwise post, pin, tweet, or otherwise
And I didn't.
send anything to social media.
Correct, I didn't.
But you did live stream our proceedings, didn't you?
It wasn't live streamed at all.
So what exactly did you do then?
Okay, so when you was giving the speech, everybody was talking. I did take a video, and
Nobody
then
was
the
talking.
young lady next to me, she was like, "Man, we're not supposed to be recording." As soon as they said that, I deleted everything right then and there. Maybe An hour went by. That's when the officer came up to me and said, somebody had told us that you may be recording. So I showed them the phone. They went through my recent deleted photos and seen the video that I made, but it was already deleted because the young lady next to me had told me that you did say we wasn't supposed to be doing any of that. And this is my first time. That was my first time ever being in court in my whole entire life. So I wasn't really sure of anything we couldn't and could not do. So I do apologize.
So my thing is, first and foremost, why go record it when you could just later on, after you experienced all you experienced and the trial is over, do a live like this and talk about the trial from being in the inside, because it's actually streaming live. So I'm not too sure of the reason why she would even record it. It just doesn't make any sense. Then a few things she did say was ridiculousness, as though like when the judge was talking, people were talking in the court. That's not how it goes. These judges have big egos and they don't like people talking when they talking, especially when they giving direction, especially in Georgia. Okay. So she's pretty lucky. She's pretty lucky because Georgia, I'm going to just say, in my opinion, Georgia judges, sometimes are pretty petty on things that they want to be a stickler about, but things that they don't even worry about it.
Apologize for that.
Madam, I went through a very long and arduous process of telling people what they could not do.
Correct.
And you violated that. And you put this trial in jeopardy because of doing that, because of your actions of that. And I told you that the reason that we go.
You've spent all day handling.
You're going to have to mute that. These commercials going to be popping up.
Emphasis on this is because people actually do this kind of stuff. They go ahead and they take pictures. They go ahead and visit the scene. They go ahead and talk to their friends on social media. They talk about and try and learn things about the case that they're not supposed to. Aren't presented in the four walls of this courtroom.
Yeah, it wasn't posted on social media or any type of.
Well, I know that, but I told you don't even get on your phones and to not record anything.
And
I told you
that into the middle of the court.
Well, the lady sitting behind you saw you when it saw you going ahead and videotaping these particular proceedings, and that was in violation of this court's order. So I'm gonna contempt is punishable by a fine of $1,000 and or 20 days in jail.
Wow.
Madam, I think that given the amount of time and energy and effort and care we spent in making that particular pronouncement, and I tell it multiple times for multiple reasons, and you decide you're going to just do what you wanted to do.
It's not
pull out your phone
doing what I wanted to do.
Well, you pulled out your phone and videotaped our proceedings, and that was in direct violation of this court's order. So I'm going to sentence you to 3 days of in jail, and that will otherwise satisfy your contempt. So
it's not going to be the payment. I thought you said.
No, I'm not going to fine you $1,000 because this court, I've given this same admonition a number of times, and there are varying reasons that we punish people in society. Okay, I'm just going to tell you the reasons are: one, just general is retribution, eye for an eye. The second reason that we punish people is for general deterrence. We don't want other people doing this kind of same thing. Third reason is specific deterrence. That means we don't want you doing this again. And then it's rehabilitation and reentry. So, ma'am, in this particular situation, unfortunately, I have told several people and made several iterations of this particular note.
Let's stop right there. You know what? That's really heart-wrenching to know that you go into court and you could end up in jail. And I'm going to just let you know, dealing with Georgia court system, this is why particularly Black people don't want to deal with jury duties. But this is actually her fault because there was no need for her to do what she did, such as record the proceedings and probably try to make a TMZ moment. So as you see, instead of taking $1,000 fine, getting the $1,000 fine, because she was like, I'm good with that. He said, nah, jail for 3 days. So lesson number one, if there's some type of sentence that the judge give you, even if you feel like it's nothing, pretend. Like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I had to pay my rent. My kids don't have any food. She should have played it like that. Don't act like, oh, $1,000 ain't nothing. I'm about to get Annie up this money. Because he said, oh, 3 days in jail. And contempt in Georgia could be up to 30 days or 20 to 30 days in jail, depending on the situation and the judge's discretion. This is not a really good situation to be in. I'm just going to be honest. And I talk about court. Don't say I talk about court because I like it. I talk about it because I see a lot of the inconsistencies and things that's happening that many of us brown melanated people don't really understand because we don't sit down and watch court cases. I do. I watch them. I look at the judicial system, learn how the judicial system is set up, the laws, federal, state, the Constitution, treaties, all that stuff, because I want to know how these laws that I'm obligated to, even if I know them or don't know them, going to affect me. Because when you're going to that court, ignorance of the law is not retribution to the situation. Just to say ignorance of the law don't mean that you're not guilty. And that's the way the system works here. And being guilty doesn't mean you're guilty. And being not guilty doesn't mean you're not guilty. So on that note, we are going to let you know that later on, we're going to get into a little bit of what's going on with Tory Lanez, because he is trying to go for a new trial. There's some things going on with his mother and her testifying in another trial, but that's going to be later on at the end of this broadcast, because we're going to pay attention to what's going on, okay? We don't deal with emotions. We deal with facts in the real situation. So we already see that the judge is on allegedly a hiatus, because the reason why I say a hiatus, because you see how this behavior continue to consist throughout everybody in the court. It's not just the jurors. He's not just chastising the jurors. He's going to the lawyers. He's talking about processes. You know, he's really taking it back to the basics of law and trying to chastise these people as though they're in school or they're in some type of mock trial. So I want to move on into the next part where it said outrageous young thug lawyer accused officials of planning courtroom chaos. So we're going to talk about this because titles mean everything, and I do appreciate Law and Crime Trial Network. This is fair use because I'm giving commentary, I'm giving my opinion, objective opinion. So this is why we're using this, and this is an open trial, and there are the people who have subject ability to the trial. This is why we're reviewing it. But what I will say is that outrageous young thug lawyer accused official of planning courtroom chaos. This is how narratives are controlled, because I think as reporters or people who are going to make videos and things should try to be not biased. I know they want to be eye-catching to certain audience, but that seems a little bit biased. Okay. So this is what's going on with Young Thug's lawyer, and they're asking for certain records. And what seems to happen is that him and the prosecutor goes back and forth about records that wasn't adequately delivered. And my thing, I'm gonna let y'all listen because I have some commentary. The judge is a real stickler for certain things, but not a stickler for other things. And I'm gonna highlight that right now. And I'm gonna tell y'all why I made a comment under somebody's post about the behavior, because I'm tired of people just taking their jobs to their heads and really just ragging people to hell and beyond because they have a position. It's terrible. It's terrible. So let's listen to this.
Yeah, Your Honor, I would just like to put on the record for today.
Yes, Mr. Weinstein.
Yeah, Your Honor, I would just like to put on the record for today that I was asked to leave the courtroom, and I was instructed to leave all of my bags, computer behind. I have no way of knowing if my bag or my computer was searched. I don't know if any client confidences were leaked during that process. I have no idea what happened.
Captain Kendall, can you show Mr. Weinstein the video that we on this particular proceedings when we were out of the courtroom?
Okay. So Allegedly now, and then this is sad that lawyers have to feel like this, but this is how it goes down. There's sometimes a lot of underhanding stuff, and we're going to talk about the underhanded stuff that's going on, especially about the other lawyer for the other gentleman that allegedly got held in contempt. And he was held in contempt related to having drugs outside of a prescription bottle. And we're going to talk about that because they made it seem like he was bringing, the way the topics in the headlines is going, like that gentleman was bringing pills to his client, the way they had the headlines. So the reason why he is saying, hey, I'm uncomfortable because when we had to walk out of the room during whatever time, I was told I had to leave my bags. And my bags have client information, has pertinent things to this case. And if anything is missing, then that's going to be on me. So I need to ensure, and this is a smart lawyer, or maybe he's trying to do some delay tactics to say, hey, I want to see what went on in this court when I'm not here with my bags in the court. And he has right to do that. So if you don't understand why he did that, this was a move because it shows a deep distrust in what's going on between them and the prosecutors. Okay.
Does that satisfy you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Anything else?
That's all, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, unless we have anything else, I'll go ahead and excuse for the evening. Okay? Huh? Yeah. You may.
It's when I get dragged on. This guy.
I don't know if the record properly depicts what occurred, but
We don't know what occurred. You're gonna need to file a motion.
Okay. Now, this is part of the YSL side of the case. Now, before he starts to talk, I want y'all to understand the judge said from the rip, before he said anything, did you file a motion? Now, the way court goes, if you have issues, if you have things that you want to address, it should be addressed on the record and or through a motion. Now, you don't usually have to do both. The judge is going to persist that whatever he wants to talk about right now, to put it through a motion. Now, what I would say is when you're dealing with motions and a lot of motions, you have to address each motion at one time or a few at a time, but you have to have a hearing for that outside of the actual trial. You see what I'm saying? For these motions, it's part of the trial, but it's not the trial. These motions are not usually heard in front of the jurors. It's usually pre-trial, and then you can move forward. Okay, so this is what the judge is trying to do, which I think is complicating the case a little bit and adding more time because these are other court dates that has to be scheduled because they're putting motions in to speak. So let's listen.
I'd like to, Your Honor.
Your voice, your
Hold
message, your
Hold on. All right, here we go.
Everybody stands when you come in courtroom or leave. We have respect for you. Mr. Williams is innocent. We came here to have a fair trial. And that's what you do. That's why we're going through this process that's taking months. And that's okay, because we're talking about something that could end people's lives. So it's worth it. I am not saying this is accurate, but I was told, and there's witnesses here, I was told that I could not call them, I don't know who they are, but that they were alerted to come to your honorable court today because there was going to be something newsworthy. This is the media, was called allegedly by, now I'm not saying any of these prosecutors, but by somebody with their office. And if that really happened, that's outrageous. To be in the middle of a hearing.
That's why I'd like you to file a motion so that we don't further taint the proceedings, or I get a chance to kind of see what everybody's allegations are.
And that's, and I don't know if I could file it, but somebody can, because I didn't speak to those people. But Your Honor, that's exactly what we don't want to happen. You know, Mr. Williams doesn't want to start over. He doesn't want to do this again. He is struggling. Every day he gets here, as the court knows, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. He gets no sleep, but we are fighting for his liberty. And Your Honor, if this was a orchestrated event, I feel like somebody needs to never do this again in any courtroom. And I know it was orchestrated because I know how Your Honor is. We've all do. We've been before each other a long time now. We were in the middle of a hearing, and to see one of our sheriff officials say, you know, get Mr. Ryan, it was clearly, or because nobody would disturb your court. So it was clearly orchestrated with somebody. So my point is, Mr. Williams has done nothing, to my knowledge, to obstruct anything. I have begged this honorable court to consider bond, and I respect your ruling. But the truth of this matter is, today was outrageous, and it does hurt our system of justice. And I ask the court to never, ever allow, if it happened, a spokesperson with the DA's office or anybody to have some inside information and make this really a farce. This is
Okay, so basically, what happened, we're going to see what happened. And that was in regards to the lawyer being arrested, held in contempt that day. Okay, now, someone allegedly tipped off the media, as well as the sheriff was already aware about what was about to go down. It wasn't something that was just like, hey, this just happened. Because if they found pills in the gentleman's bag outside, I think all of that should have happened outside of the court instead of what you're going to see happen, how it happened inside of the court. It was just weird. The timing is very weird. And usually if you have something that is considered contraband, narcotics, or whatever, they're going to get you outside the court. So that is kind of what he's talking about when you talk about things being orchestrated. And now he's putting on record. This is how you put on record. This is the Tasha K lawyer that he's starting to put on record that if something happened, I don't want this to be a mistrial, because procedures are everything. And because there's so many moving pieces to this, procedure-wise, if they find flaws that they can get the case thrown out, that's what they're going to do. So that's what he's bringing up, just to give you a heads up. That's why he brought this up at the end, because this is kind of outside the context of what they were doing with the procedures of the day. But he said, I got to put this on the books because it's getting out of hand, allegedly.
This was an embarrassment. Thank you, sir.
And I said,
That's about Georgia. That's about Georgia. That's about Georgia.
If it's with anybody, if you feel that you
Allegedly.
need to put it in a motion for me to hear and consider, I would invite you to do so. So, and I can go ahead and take that up. Ms. Lowe?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just
Mr.
like
Prosecutor.
to state for the record and for clarity's sake that there is no way anyone from our office could have predicted the events that occurred today. To suggest that it was orchestrated by our office would necessarily lead to a conclusion that the results of today's events somehow were known to people other than the defendants in this case. And that's not possible. The sheriff's office is doing their very best to ensure that this entire courtroom is safe and secure. And to suggest that somehow this event of today was orchestrated would again necessarily imply that we knew that there would be wrongdoing going on and wanted to capture it on camera somehow.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to say. And the reason why I kind of agree with him, because if you found the pills outside when he was coming in and you checked his bag, why you didn't stop him then? Why you didn't say, wait a minute, what's this? This is the law. This is going on. Don't tell me as the sheriff office you had to figure this out and then come to find out, allegedly, they were wrong. We didn't even get there yet. I done disclosed the whole party. Okay? I disclosed everything, but we're going to work our way to this.
So I categorically object to the idea
This new
that
word,
the state has somehow
categorically.
done some unethical thing and orchestrated an event that only the defendants knew, and thankfully the sheriff's department learned was happening today.
Look at her. Look at her. Look at her face. Look at her face. I want y'all, we're gonna watch her because she got an attitude. You're gonna see even one time when she talked with some of the proceedings that we show you, she's gonna shoot her hands like, girl, she got an attitude.
Yeah, I'm just, please, just sit down, Mr. Sharp. Just sit down.
Okay.
Just sit down. Thank you.
Look, just
Um,
don't even let him speak up. Cause it's the end of proceedings too. The judge like, oh shit, this is about to turn into a zoo. No. Stop.
I've reiterated this time.
Look at that. You see that judge? I mean, you see that boy, white man right here? You see him? Black people take note. This is the hardest position to be in court when somebody's just talking to you any which way. I don't care what color the judge is. Y'all know it's hard. So I got to give it to this man because I be like, oh, Lord, this is my court. You in my house. And what I say, hold you in contempt. Shut up and say what I tell you to say. Because I told you to say it. Okay? That's what the judge told me one day. I said, but I don't understand. He said, contempt, get her out of my court. Then brother say, are you ready? You ready to say what I want you to say? Say yes or no. Don't say you don't understand. That's not what you can say in my court. That's judges. So for this man to have the discernment to be like, I'm your reggae K. This is what you need, Black people. Try to have the discernment like him and the patience. It's not easy. Okay? Try. It's hard, but you can do it.
I've reiterated this time and time again about professionalism.
He's like, oh,
I've tried cases in front of most all of
he's
you
stressing
for a while now.
I don't mean to laugh. My boo's stressed. You weren't stressed when you was killing.
In fact,
I'm just
all courts
playing.
give counsel the benefit of the doubt, and we give you wide latitude to try your cases. So I don't think that anybody in here intentionally comes into court and tries to disrupt our proceedings. So I give you that as a foundational basis. However, what our sheriff's department and other law enforcement professionals are in charge with, and that's the responsibility of keeping everyone in here safe. There are things that they do and that are done outside of our presence to keep our safety and at the forefront. And we're going to just have to trust the process. I don't know what happened today. For whatever reason, we'll find out. We'll find out at some point in time. So just let the process proceed, and don't try and cast aspersions on anybody. Okay, that's just the basic, fundamental truth of everything. And the reason I want you to put everything in writing, or you wish to.
My thing is, how he gonna talk about what's the fundamental truth for everything? He can't say that, and that's what really kills me about some people in the legal system, because they have this in all tell all of how it is, and it's not true. So basically, he's about to tell him, if you want to put a motion in, put a motion in, and I think he should put a motion in for misconduct on the court's behalf, some way, somehow, because we're gonna go over how it was misconduct in the fucking zoo. Just like he said, it seemed orchestrated because the lawyer shouldn't have made it in the court if they felt he had contraband.
To do so is so that we don't say things that we cannot necessarily prove, or it disrupts the fundamental fairness for all of you to have a fair trial. The state, that is.
Don't look at him like that, YSL. He's trying to help you.
I just ask you to just keep that in mind.
Don't get mad.
We'll get
Don't
to
be
the bottom of
scared.
it sooner or later.
Stand strong.
And if you put anything in writing, then certainly we'll go ahead and take it. I'm not casting aspersions on anybody. I don't think you should do that to each other at this point in time. And
whatever.
With that,
That's their coworker.
Let's recess and we'll talk to everybody tomorrow.
Your Honor, just totally unrelated. I would just like to know that our clients will be here on Friday while we.
Yeah, everybody's going to be here tomorrow on Friday at 3:30 for joint strikes. Yes, sir. Because that is a critical stage proceeding. Okay.
Your Honor, if I need to remind the court, I'm arguing for the Honorable Supreme Court of Georgia in the morning, so I will be here at approximately noon.
Okay. We're not starting on Friday till 3:30 anyways.
I'm saying tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's fine. Yeah, we got you covered for tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So basically, I'm going to tell you, this man right there felt some type of way because his colleague was embarrassed. And then you're going to listen to what the colleague had to be subjected to and how this situation kind of put doubt into the colleague's own personal life, his own personal practice, when what they did was actually out of pocket. And to say that it was planned or possibly is not totally out of terms, because as I stated, if they saw the pills again before he walked into the court, when they're checking people's bags, how did he get in the court? Why did they wait till the proceeding go in? Why did they, like, hey, you come here, and they all swarm him like it was a planned execution? So let's watch how the news actually broadcast this, so you can see kind of like allegedly how it be biased. So this is WSB TV, YSL case attorney bought prescription pills into courthouse through phone at deputy, sheriff said. And we're going to listen what happens with this phone. You see how they say he threw the phone at the deputies, and this was not true, because things that are we're going to talk about it. Things that are confiscated goes into holding, especially if there's some proceedings going on until everything is done. So let's just keep this in mind, and let's listen to this non-biased broadcast.
Is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. Mike, what have
Allegedly.
you learned about this and this attorney?
He's shaking his head.
Fred, you can't make this stuff up. Another day, another incident. Let me tell you, it all unfolded this morning inside the courthouse. Here's what we can tell you. During a security checkpoint, that's when deputies arrested defense attorney Anastasios Menendez. Investigators say he was arrested on 2 counts of prescription drugs, not in its original container. We're not sure if they were his prescription drugs. We're still working to find that out. We also know he was arrested on 1 count of obstruction, 1 count of simple battery on a law enforcement officer. More on that in a moment. Now, first, another thing we want to discuss is we're getting an exclusive look at the body camera video from yesterday's incident involving Redalius Ryan. Investigators say Ryan came into court smelling like marijuana. And so as you can see with this body cam footage, they bring him in the back of the courtroom. The back of the courtroom outside. And when they performed a strip search on him during this, you hear Ryan screaming for help. But I've watched this video in its entirety. At no point did you see officers using excessive force. They eventually found a bag of marijuana sewn into his underwear. Now, his father watched the video too and told me he has no idea how his son got that marijuana. Now, back to that attorney who was arrested. Here's what the sheriff told me minutes after that arrest.
We've created a secondary checkpoint because we've had problems over the last couple of weeks with contraband, with defendants ending up with contraband. So long story short is we've implemented some new security procedures, including a secondary checkpoint. And at that checkpoint, one of the attorneys had some contraband.
So they're mixing the cases. They're mixing 2 things up. You see how they merged it. First, we were talking about one of the defendants sneaking marijuana in the belt. Then they just merged it into the lawyer case, okay? Saying there's been issues with contraband, making it seem like this lawyer was bringing contraband in for his defendant. You see how it's unbiased? Right.
As well as ended up throwing a cell phone at one of my captains.
He threw it at the captains.
Yeah, and as we're on the air right now, we're getting an update from inside the courtroom. So that attorney was representing one of the defendants, Miles Farley. He is one of the 14 defendants in this case. Apparently now, Judge Glanville has chosen to sever that defendant, which basically means he'll be tried in a new trial. So now we are down to 13 defendants who are...
Let's stop. Now they just moved on to the lawyer who allegedly had prescription pills unwrapped. His lawyer, his person he's represented, the defendant, his trial is being severed from the YSL trial. Why is that? We have to think about it. You just snuck allegedly pills inside of the courts. Why was your defendant, your client now case separated? Let's listen. Because somebody made a mistake. Somebody made a mistake. And I think that one hand washes the other, so people could take a whole glass and shut up and be nice. and take a favor now because somebody owed this lawyer who got arrested won. Okay, I'm gonna make it make sense to the people who understand it because this lawyer is good, has something to say about the situation and about law instead of just listening to this gentleman. Oh my God, another day in the court. It just cannot be. This is just so predictable, because I know law. This is what he's just like, this is what we think that everybody who broadcasts are specialty in what they talk about. Now we're going to hear a word from the actual lawyer who actually got arrested in his side of the story about the contraband allegedly, as well as throwing the cell phone. So he threw the cell phone and he ended up getting his client case separated from the most largest racketeering cases in Atlanta right now. Let's make it make sense because we playing chess, not checkers, and we have to learn how to react when we get done dirty. And he played chess, the lawyer. Okay, so now this is YSL lawyer arrested at Young Thug trial tells all. They were like sharks circling me. Let's play it. Now, you see what they did. You see what they did? This man in the background yelling, because I watched the trial, the whole thing. Every time y'all come on, I watch it. The man yelling was the man who had the marijuana in his belt. That is not the lawyer. So don't even think that it's the lawyer. But this is the stuff that the news does allegedly to kind of mess up the perspective of things. Okay? This is why you're watching Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, because we're gonna bring it down, baby. Very analytical over here. I pay attention to everything, even a little heart on his chest. Look at this little heart. He like, God save me, save me. I got a heart. Let me say, anybody got a heart? He like 5 heartbeats. I'm sorry.
Yelling from a defendant in a back room at the YSL RICO trial in Atlanta.
Zoo.
It
Freaking
leads
zoo.
to others being cuffed and the courtroom evacuated. I'm Anjanette Levy, and thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. It was a wild.
So this is going to be a reaction video, another part to my reaction to Miss Levy's interview. I'm going to give my commentary and perspective, okay? This is for information, educational purposes only. Let's go.
Week in the YSL RICO trial down there in Fulton County.
Here go the interview.
Joining me to discuss the very latest in this case, including his client Miles Farley getting a bond, is Anastasio Smith.
So not only was his court separated, his client case separated, his client got a bond that he's been trying to put motions in after motion to get a bond that the judge kept denying. But Mr. Choose what I want to when I want to, allegedly judge decided to give his client a bond. Let's see why.
Menendez. Anastasios, thanks for joining us. It's been a crazy week, as I mentioned, in this trial, and we're only in jury selection. So bring us up to speed on the very latest. First off, with your client being given a bond.
Well, yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm thrilled. Miles just got a bond today.
Check is
from
not
Judge
chess.
Glanville. It's a pretty high amount, so we got to really work on it. But yeah, he was granted a bond. It was our 4th time requesting bond. So yeah, I guess 4th time's the charm.
And it's interesting and important
Hard work.
because earlier this week, when things were happening in the courtroom, your client's case was actually severed from the others in this RICO case.
Yeah, that's right. We did our bond hearing on Monday. The judge seemed to be receptive, but he didn't want to make up his mind yet. He took it under advisement, which means he's not going to rule now, but sometime, within the next 10 days. We had the next day off. The day after that was the incident in court where there was a bit of a disruption and we just go home. So we didn't get the decision that day. And then the next day, I was just wrongfully accused by the deputies of something and actually arrested and confined the entire day. I've just got out last night and then was summoned by the judge today to have some type of hearing about Mr. Farley, my client, in the alleged YSL RICO case. And then
Okay. So I'm gonna just say, and I'm just as sad. Anybody getting arrested in America is just like a badge of honor at this point. This is a whole lawyer that works for the system. So don't think that they're not casing everybody up, especially in Georgia. He don't care. So he literally spent the whole day in jail, got out at the end, and then the judge went to see him first thing in the morning, talk about, I need to see you about your client. Wait, why you don't want to see me about me getting arrested? Why you don't want to see me about me getting arrested? Because we about to see why.
That's just moments ago. He was granted a bond with some special conditions.
I love this man.
So now we're severed off of the case. Mr. Farley is going to have his own trial separately.
For just $67.
Now, while they playing this commercial, the reason why I love this man is because he's young, he is knowledgeable, and he seems to be honorable, okay? And he's diligent. That's all I need to see. And I like it because some of these old lawyers, they're bought and sold. They're sold into the system. They have debt with people. People owe them, they owe people. It's all the exchange of favors. When somebody's coming in new, wet in the nose, they don't have much favors. They coming in fighting. He's coming in fighting. So much respect to him. Y'all know I like law. I do. I like being able to defend myself and being honorable. That's the part that I like about law. Being able to stand on honorability. But all the rest of the lies, the deceit, the trickery, the paying under the table allegedly, the bar association connections, all that, I don't like it. That's why I really focus on us understanding how law is applied to us as people, to things around us, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, just because you don't know the law doesn't mean you're not responsible for it, okay? You can still be found guilty if you do something that's considered illegal. So this is my best friend. I love this guy. I love him. I like him. I'm gonna have to talk to this guy just to get his number. I love him. Sorry.
We'll still have Judge Glanville as a bond with some special conditions. And so now we're severed off of the case, Mr. Farley.
Let's start again.
To have some type of hearing about Mr. Farley, my client, in the alleged YSL RICO case. And then that's just moments ago. He was granted a bond with some special conditions. And so now we're severed off of the case. Mr. Farley is going to have his own trial separately. And so we'll have to wait until this first trial is done. So we'll still have Judge Glanville as a judge. And at some point, he'll begin our trial when this RICO trial is done, the one that we were severed from. And then now also Miles will have a bond. And so if he can come up with the bond money, although it's a lot, it's $625,000. And with the way the bonding companies work in the Atlanta area, we're going to have to come up with something like $75,000 to satisfy what the bonding companies want and the surcharges. And then he also needs to wear an ankle monitor.
And listen to him. This is why I'm happy for this client. This is why I'm happy, because everybody who think that is involved in this big old RICO case is actually involved in it. The Black community, you need to know that these RICO charges are seriously bad. It's a blanket charge that can capture anyone who had contact with this gentleman and is perceived, or the people perceived to have ties. Now listen to his client, who his client is.
Give the address of where he lives and only leave for work, school, and medical emergencies. And he also has a curfew, and he needs to stay away from certain areas that the state requested because they're going to plan to allege that those areas have some kind of gang activity going on, but they haven't proven anything yet.
That is a hefty bond. So I'll be interested to see if you are able to come up with that. You mentioned, the incident involving you at this courthouse. Right. This happened on Thursday, where you were arrested, taken into custody because you had some medications that were not in a prescription bottle. So tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, what happened is I'm prescribed 3 medications, by my doctors, And I currently do take those medications. I need to have them on me. So they're in my work bag. I had 2 of the original containers, and the pills for the third medication, some of them I had put in one of those containers because the pill bottle for that one is quite large, and I just thought it was hefty. And it's notable that here in Georgia, you don't even have to have them in the original container or one separate container at all. So if you're prescribed a medication by your doctor, like I am for everything that was in my bag,
Listen.
then you could have had them just wrapped up in one Ziploc bag or aluminum foil, and that would be lawful.
So he's just telling you what is actually lawful when carrying prescription medications, and he knows it, but obviously the sheriff does not. I concede.
There was no unlawful activity whatsoever, so I feel like I was, somehow targeted by the state in this case. I don't know why, but it comes during this week of me having the bond hearing where I said certain things, and then some chaos going on in court. So it's kind of a high temperature environment this entire week, and it just culminated in, I don't know what happened. I guess they sort of lost their cool and wanted to, do something to me and did this.
Because some of the things that he said in the bond hearing for his client was highlighting that his client is actually a college student, that the injustices of the whole racketeering charges, and how it's going to be evident that by having his client involved in this case is going to prove the whole validity or disvalidity of racketeering in itself. He said much more, but they didn't like that, because the things that he was saying seemed to be correct about his client. And they're like, well, if you think your client is good, then you're bad, allegedly.
Now it's interesting that you're saying that you were prescribed these medications in Georgia. You can carry them without the bottle, which is interesting. So was this a misunderstanding?
I mean, you'd have to ask
the sheriff
maybe
office,
the district attorney's office, and the sheriff's department.
They came
because
together.
I don't see how it could be a misunderstanding. The law
With
is so clear.
charges.
So had law enforcement had any basic knowledge of the law, they would have known right away that I wasn't violating anything. And further, they didn't even bother to wait for me to try to explain. They didn't call.
This is his client, which is the college student, and I believe it's Morehouse. I forgot what college, because he is going to donate to his client's college for a contempt, that he was held in contempt prior to this. He was held in contempt prior to this for allegedly something that the judge didn't like. He was the one that they said had to buy his co-workers lunch and write the paper. This was the one that they try to make write the paper like he was a newbie. I think this was, I'm just going to verify that. But the judge did make one of the lawyers write a paper, and I'm going to find it. I think it was him.
All my doctors, they didn't allow me to have it tested or anything like that, and they just jumped to conclusions. And even worse, they charged me with a felony. So I'm getting a little taste of what I see day in and day out with my clients, of just these trumped up charges, these overcharged cases. So they took it even one step further. Not only
VFly is a company that helps your YouTube videos go viral using Google Ads.
Hold on. Let's forward whatever VFly is. Come on.
me of having.
So he's talking about
the day out with my clients of just these trumped up charges, these overcharged cases. So they took it even one step further. Not only did they wrongfully try to accuse me of having pills not in their original container, which is not a crime in Georgia, they accused me of violating a controlled substance statute just because a couple of the pills of one bottle were a different dose than what the bottle says. And that was only because, as often happens, my doctor changed the dose a couple months ago, and then I left a couple of the old dosage in there, but they're the same medication and they're only off by 5 milligrams. And because the pills are a different color, they tried to say that, well, that's a controlled substance and that's illegal for you to even have that at all. And because the pill bottle says 15 milligrams, that you had a 10 milligram one of the same type, and because it's a controlled substance, then you're now in violation of the Controlled Substance Act, which is a felony. Pretty serious, but I'm not afraid. I have a great attorney, Mr. Brian Tevis, and, I'm innocent, didn't do anything wrong. It's so obvious. So, I'm not worried, but it's just an example of what they do to people. So to your question, that would be something like in court that I'm sure, it's like speculation. How am I to get in their head and ask myself, why did they do this? But I can look at the circumstances and say that I don't think they're ignorant of it. I think maybe they knew what they were doing, or, I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know how they organize their things. I don't know how they make charging decisions, but that's what happened. And so I guess I can leave it to your audience based on the circumstances to, also speculate about why they did that, especially in the context of everything going on this week and the bond hearing and the things that I said in that bond hearing.
Now, there was a simple battery charge that you had faced, but that charge was later dismissed. You were accused of.
And this is about the phone. We're going to clarify we watch the news. They say he threw the phone at the sheriff. Let's clarify.
I guess doing something with a sheriff's deputy, brushing up against him. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, that's just more of the same. So they've already done this unlawful detention on me. They're already accusing me of something I didn't do without any investigation. And I'm in handcuffs completely. I turn around, I let them put the handcuffs on me. I don't resist at all. And then a colleague of mine says, throw me your phone. And I did want him to throw him my phone, not because I have anything in there to hide, but that is my attorney phone that I have sensitive information about my clients, their medical information. They had already violated my medical rights and privacy. So who knows what they're going to do? There's confidential stuff in that phone they're not allowed to see, but that wasn't my main concern. My main concern was I knew that everybody would be talking about me going to jail. I knew that people such as yourself would talk about it and that my clients would see that. And they did. Some of my clients are very concerned. They're concerned for their own case, obviously, and their advocacy, but I have pretty close relationships with my clients, so they're also just worried for me in general. And had someone not had my phone while I was in jail, I couldn't continue my business and communicate with my clients because I don't have anywhere else where their numbers are stored. And now my phone is getting all these texts about, are you okay? Is my case still okay? Are we still good for court in a couple weeks? And then especially why I'm afraid is because the Fulton County Jail is really disorganized right now and really backlogged. If it wasn't for my attorney, Mr. Tevis, I don't know when I would have really gotten out.
So you hear what he said? He would have to go through the same thing that you would have to go through to get your daggone property back. So he like, oh, heck no, this ain't part of this, especially when he has a business to run. He is a lawyer. He has clients who are going to be worried about what is going on with you. This is on TV. So listen to what he did. Listen.
Detained unlawfully is really disorganized right now and really backlogged. If it wasn't for my attorney, Mr. Tevis, I don't know when I would have really gotten out. I recently had a client who was detained unlawfully. She's pregnant. She's 7 months pregnant. There's a suspended license case that she resolved in traffic court, but because the state didn't take the warrant out of the system, she's pulled over during a traffic stop, and they think she missed court, even though she didn't miss court because there was no court to miss. The case was resolved, and she spent about 4 days in there. And that's when the family got me involved and said, what's going on? So I worried about a nightmare scenario like that. So for even a day to go by without me communicating with my clients would be a catastrophe. And so I tossed my phone to my colleague. And because I tossed it while my hands were tied behind my back, because I got the phone out of my pocket with one of my handcuffed hands, it touches on the bulletproof vest of one of the captains. And it was wild. I could tell they were just like sharks circling me. They just couldn't wait. It was crazy. The only way I can really describe it is like a bunch of children when a piñata bursts and the candy falls down. When they saw that phone just rush and touch on the deputy, the captain, they got so excited and they're like, battery gun officer. And, and I started getting that strange energy that you get from police that commit, violent misconduct where they say things like stop resisting while they're just punching someone in the head who's tied up and not moving.
He said that's strange.
So I was just getting that energy.
Scary.
Yeah, so that's what it was. And then they tried to charge me with that. And it was actually so ridiculous that they ended up dropping that. And instead they charged me with willful obstruction of an officer for that. But that's also wrong. So they're funny. They tried to fix it and they're wrong again. And
so basically, as he said, it has to be orchestrated because the sheriff was the people who said that they saw something like the police, and they brought it to the prosecutors who were right there and said, hey, the DA, this is what's going on. And they made charges for this man. So how was it not orchestrated? Can somebody explain it to me? How wasn't it orchestrated? By the time they get and bring it to pre-jurors and they indict you, that's the orchestration. So they bring what they doing to the DA real fast. I don't know how they did it so fast. Allegedly, it said in the hallway, but I don't think so. Okay, it was in the court, and I think it was a black lawyer who had to write the paper, and I found the clip. It was not him. It was another lawyer on the YSL side. They just the judge is just going in, and he's allowing them to go in so much that they messing up. They done fucked up. Excuse my language. They done messed up here.
Because the detention was unlawful, you actually are allowed to resist, which I didn't. So even if I did do something they're saying I do, it would be a not guilty under the statute. So it's just on its face a not guilty across the board, even though I was charged with 4 counts, one of them being a felony.
Wow, a lawyer had to get a lawyer. A lawyer had to get a lawyer in Georgia. This is not a game, black people. This is not a game. This system is set up to win. And you ain't gonna be the winner. So my best advice is to stay the hell out of it. Unless you understand and unless you have enough pause, what did you say? Pause. And self-control, like him, like I just showed you him, and the other white lawyer that was like, Jesus. Because I don't even know that being in the law realm is just as stressful as being a nurse. And I don't know why I like law when and the nurses stress me too. I don't know. But it's weird. Listen, it's just weird. I know I'm weird. But this is why I'm here. I'm bringing a different vibe to YouTube. Okay?
That was dropped the battery.
When I come on YouTube, because I ain't coming up here a lot. Okay? I'll be on Rumble, and there's another one called BitChute, or BitChute, or Bitch Hut. They call it Bitch Hut or BitChute. I call it BitChute because I don't want to call it Bitch Hut. Okay, but yeah, it's a little racist over there, but I'm making my way downtown. You know, I don't care about racist people. Call me what you want to, as long as you don't touch me. I know how to deal with them.
Charge was dropped, but you're still.
I'd rather deal with them calling me a nigga in front of me instead of YouTube subliminally keeping me down in the algorithm and all the rest. I'd rather all the people who don't like me over there, bitch, you be watching, saying nigga this, nigga that, watching videos and getting the clicks, and then they gonna watch all the rest of the content. So we doing good. We're working on Rumble. It's called BitChute or Bitch Hut. I don't like calling it Bitch Hut. I call it BitChute. Okay, I don't like them because when you okay. So we'll put that in the description for you guys. You can find us there. The white people cursing me out over there. Whatever.
Facing these other charges, possession of pills not in their original container. You claim that you can do this in Georgia, just have them in a bag if you want. Disrupting court proceedings, possession of dangerous drugs, having a Schedule II controlled substance, which you say you were prescribed, Schedule II.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Anastasios, Judge Ural Glanville is presiding over this trial, and there are things he's doing in this case that I don't think I've ever seen. Assigning people essays, whether they're prospective jurors, even attorneys, assigning them essays to write, 20, 30-page essays if they are held in contempt. Very unusual. I heard that you were ordered to buy everybody lunch.
Yeah, he did lunch.
What are your thoughts on all of this?
This is crazy.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't been a part of that before either. I've been practicing law since 2015, and I've been practicing under supervision since 2012, and I've never seen that before. And the statute in Georgia for contempt gives the judge the options of $1,000 fine, a 20-day in jail sentence, or some mix of both. So you could be fined up to $1,000 and jailed for up to 20 days, or both. But in this case, he's assigning other consequences for contempt. And I don't believe that I even was contemptuous in that moment, but me and the judge just had a difference of interpretation over what him and I had said to each other.
But
you see what I'm saying? The judge could say, oh, you said that disrespectfully. Contempt. He's like, what? So as he said, and what I agree, usually it's court fines or jail. So I don't know what law it is in Georgia that judges can basically give whatever sentence they want out regard to contempt. The judge don't need to hear me say this, but there's a thing called the ethical board, the ethical judges board committee in Georgia. And if a lot of people write to this board about some of the things they're seeing, hint, maybe somebody will start behaving like a regular damn judge and stop doing all this extra BS, because he's going into teacher mode. He's scolding people. He's holding people in contempt that allegedly don't supposed to be in contempt, telling them to buy lunch, checking back, did you buy lunch? When you have hundreds of witnesses to get through, you ain't even finished your jury selection and you doing all of this. Somebody getting paid. I don't know who. Somebody is getting paid, and it ain't them. It ain't the defendant's lawyers. They're not getting paid. You already know I just brought up that the other prosecutor, like, baby, I got to get the hell up out of here because I'm a single mama. I'm black, and I can't afford this. I'm not a trust fund baby. So, judge, I got to go. And that's what she had said last week. Okay, so let's finish listening to this. We're going to wrap this up. I just want to try to get a different perspective of what's going on, because you see how the news be trying to make things. And I like this guy. I like him just a little bit under a Kyrie Irving. He has a good heart. You know, I like people with good hearts. If you got a good heart, I love you. You know, so I want to meet this guy. Ask him some questions. I got some cases coming up that I need to ask him, because I'm in a hard county about to fight a few traffic court cases. You get traffic court, it'd be a misdemeanor. They ain't gonna see me and him like, what happened to Grace Levi? Got locked up for traffic tickets in that racist ass county. Pray for me. Just going to traffic court could be just like this. It's about Georgia. Let's finish off with this broadcast, listen to what he got to say, because I like this guy.
Ordering a defense attorney to buy people lunch. I've certainly never seen that. I'm not even sure I've seen an attorney held in contempt and given anything other than maybe a fine.
Thank you. We had to donate. So he's going out of pocket. He's out of pocket. It's out of line. Sorry.
Experienced jail for contempt, but you're right. I haven't. Right. I mean, I've seen jail. I've experienced jail for contempt, but you're right. I haven't seen that either.
Look at his face.
And what really happened was I was given the option of either writing an essay and buying them lunch or going to jail for 20 days. And what I had said was, I don't have any problem buying my colleagues lunch, but that I wouldn't write an essay. And I would just do the 20 days. But then upon that, he gave me the option of, well, you can make a donation of $250.
See, he was the one with the essay. I knew it. He tried to play him. The judge tried to play him like he was a kid, like he was a new kid on the block. He said, no. I've been practicing since 2012. So he's been practicing just as long as I've been a nurse, going on 11 years. Okay. And he said, I'm not about to write no essay. About to be locked up 20 days. I'll be writing my motions from in the jail. My colleagues got me. And the judge was like, oh, wait a minute. Damn. I done pushed it too far. Nigga done call my bluff. Yeah, go ahead. This is a lawyer that you want. He said, I'm not writing that. I'll take 20 days. Yeah, let's go. Clank, clank, clank. This is freedom. That's the face of freedom right there. I love this guy. Honestly, I think that this case is going to be thrown out. I thought that was going to happen with the Tory Lane case, but guess what? He coming back, because there was ground for the cases to be thrown out with Tory Lanez. We're going to talk about that on another date. Okay? Y'all going to be like, oh my God, this black woman with her shit. Why did she take up for black men? They get on my damn nerves, but I'm going to have to take up for black men when it's the truth. But, ain't nobody perfect. I'm going to call it all out. But we ain't even going to get distracted right now. Let's talk about this amazing person, this freedom fighter right here. I like him. No, right here. Yeah, because I know it's on this side of the screen.
Charity of your choice and buy your colleagues lunch. And what really happened, it kind of got blown out of proportion.
Listen.
Buying my colleagues lunch, but that I wouldn't write an essay. And I would just do the 20 days. But then upon that, he gave me the option of, well, you can make a donation of $250 to the charity of your choice and buy your colleagues lunch. And what really happened, it kind of got blown out of proportion in social media and other outlets. I did make the donation to Miles College, the scholarship fund, and that's the HBCU college where my client, Mr. Miles Farley, got his business degree from.
See?
And so I did that.
Student.
The judge said that satisfied him. And then I was supposed to buy a lunch on one day. And that day we only had a 45-minute break, so I couldn't. And then all my colleagues, you know, they didn't want that. They told me, we're good. You don't got to buy me anything. And it sort of, that was March 17th. It sort of kind of faded away. Then it got brought up recently. And when I understood that that's what he wanted me to do, although I don't feel like I was actually in contempt, you know, I agreed to do that coming up on May 19th. So even though Mr. Farley is severed, you know, I do plan to still, you know, honor the judge's wishes.
See, and he's being honorable. Even though he's like, even though this judge is an asshole. Allegedly. That's what he said in his mind. That's not what I said. I'ma still do it because I got to see him in court probably 3 years from now when this court done and my client done had 2 businesses, 3 kids, and you know, I'm gonna have to just keep shit on nicely street with him. So his client case is severed. His client is he's trying to get the bail down for his client, and his client will be on house arrest. I don't know, for 2-3 years, but you'd rather be outside on house arrest than be in somebody court for something that you ain't somebody jail pre-conviction. That's exactly what happened to, if y'all watched on Sister Enlightenment Talk last week, we talked about the Alabama prisoner who was locked up for a misdemeanor. No, that's a lie. It wasn't Alabama. It was Fulton County Jail, baby, that just got shut down, almost shut down. They just evacuated all the prisoners out of it as of last week because of all the bugs, the decay, and all of that nonsense. But that gentleman who died from allegedly the bug infestation, if y'all don't know, go on Rumble. I got that coming up. I got it already on. Well, if y'all don't do Rumble, go on Facebook because I got all my stuff on my Facebook page. Is on my fan page, Lashley. Okay, every production that I do is under there. But that gentleman died, and he was there for a misdemeanor, pre-trial, finding guilty. He was already in jail for 3 months without even seeing the judge. And that was the one who died in Fulton County Jail just a couple of weeks ago that we shared with the Uncensored Enlightenment Talk family and the Nurses to Nurses Talk Healthcare family. Okay? Yeah. This is the jail that they want to keep throwing people in prior for them to be even found guilty, and people can't pay and they stuck. So thank God the lawyer had to get a lawyer in this case, okay?
Interesting.
like this
Verdalius Ryan is the one who had the alleged 2 bags of marijuana sewn
Got
into his
nothing to do with
boxers,
him.
not your client.
Thank you.
But your client is facing a murder charge. You know, he will now have a...
So my thing is, why do they keep showing this guy? We're going to get off of this. But you see how the mind madness, you're showing a client that has nothing to do with that lawyer, and it's supposed to be about this lawyer. And you know, people slow these days. So they're going to think and mix up that lawyer who allegedly had the contraband had the client who had the marijuana. I bet you, because people just slow like that. But this is how the news mix it up, okay? So this was basically a breakdown of what's going on in the YSL case up to date. I think I pretty much hit it on the head. I was going to show a little bit about a little bit of the Lawyers for Workers and what they have to say, but I'm actually going to just share that on Enlightenment Talk on Sunday. We'll show the clipping and I'll give some more commentary, but I wanted to make this just a raw commentary from me. But before we get into this, the last part, we're going to let you guys know what's going on with actually Tory Lane's mama's, because she in court for something. But before we talk about that, here's a word from our sponsors.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.
Oh, I done mixed that up. Girl, I done mixed that up. Hold on, that's not Tory Lanez. That's Tory Lang. Who the hell is Tory Lang? Anyway, let me go give you an update on Tory Lanez trial. So since I wanted my ass talking about Tory Lanez mama, it wasn't. That was a typo. Okay, Tory Lanez. I'm like, Lanez new trial. Okay, I'm like Tory Lanez mama. That's not correct. His mama involved. So let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Can I find it? All right. So this was. Let me go, yo. Uh-oh. Stop it. It went too fast. Okay. We got a little update on Tory Lanez too. You don't get 2 for 1? 2 for 1? Okay, one of the articles is actually going to look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look, I got this one showing. Y'all want to see that? That wasn't Tory Lanez. That was Tory Lanez mama. Excuse that. Look at this guy. Okay, this is who we're going to be talking about next, okay? Just for a few more minutes because I'm on a roll. Look at him. Locked up. I'm going to pray for Tory Lanez right quick. A moment of silence. But what's going on actually is Tory Lanez, stop it. This is an article that was just up to date April 17th, and then we have one for 5 days ago, okay? So we're going to talk about this one on April 17th. Yeah, that was 5 days ago. About the same. Oh, I got the most up-to-date article. Let's get it right here. Let's figure out what Tory Lanez got going on around here.
Tory Lanez charged in the shooting of hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion. ABC's Zoreen Shaw has more from Los Angeles now. Hey, Zoreen, good morning.
Just a bonus.
Hey, good morning, Gio. This is the trial that divided the hip-hop community. Megan Thee Stallion wrote about speaking up for Black women and how they're often not believed. And then you had singer Tory Lanez and a lot of his well-known supporters calling Megan a liar. Remember, you had phone, text, witness evidence, all favoring Megan. Megan says Tory shot at her, injuring both her feet after a Hollywood Hills party 2 years ago. In the end, the jury believed the prosecution, and Lanez was found guilty of all 3 charges, including felony assault, and he was handcuffed in court. Look, this is a case that has been faced with twists and turns. A lot of people changing their stories, including key witnesses. One witness went missing, and the defense tried placing the blame on a female friend. Lanez now faces sentencing next month, and he could face nearly 23 years behind bars. His lawyer tells us they are shocked, and this fight is not over for them. Janae?
And many people believing Meg Thee Stallion.
My thing is that I don't think that he was found guilty for assault in her. He was actually found guilty of having a firearm. He wasn't. Reckless discharge of the firearm and something else. But it wasn't actually the assault. So you see how they kind of mixed that up? We're going to do the special broadcast on them because I'm going to verify because I remember it was not that. He was not found guilty of actually shooting her because there was so much discrepancy. But I can see. So we're just going to talk about what he's trying to do right now, but we ain't going to get into that. Like, this is what it did. You know, we've all have feelings and emotions. But let's get into Tory Lanez letter to LA District Attorney seeking new trial in Megan Thee Stallion shooting. So we're going to read this article. Rolling Stone, Okay, it's for information and educational purposes only. And it's so sad I had to say that. I'll literally be reading articles and somebody can say about intellectual property. Like, yo, it's a news article. The fuck? This is what I gotta go through. They hate me. It's because I'm God. I'm like Jesus. Everybody hates Jesus. All the devils hate Jesus. I'm one of Jesus' road dogs. Yup, I said it. I'm a soldier of love. All right, now. This is from Rolling Stone. This information, educational purposes only. I hope it's on the screen so you guys can see it. Okay. Tory Lane accused of the prosecutors of misusing their authority to hide and suppress any and all exculpatory evidence that enumerates me and furthers my innocence. So as we talked about, the judge can say, hey, you can have this evidence. No, this evidence may be biased for whatever reason they want to put on it. And when the judge say no is no. The best thing you can do is try to enter the evidence. And then when you go for a new trial, they pull all of that evidence up. This is what was supposed to happen with the appeal with Tasha K's case, because it was a lot of evidence that was put in her case that the judge did not allow the jurors to see. And this is the same thing in this situation. Okay, so this is what he's going for. And I think they're going to go on some constitutional challenges, but we're going to see how. Okay. So Tory Lane wrote an open letter on Friday addressing the Los Angeles County District Attorney claiming his innocence in the Meg Thee Stallion shooting trial. The post was shared on Tory Lane's Instagram account and listed several accusations against the Deputy District Attorney, Kathy Ty, and Alex Ball. Lane's, whose legal name is Daystar Peterson, claimed that Ty and Ball unlawfully misused their authority to hide and suppress any and all exculpatory evidence that exonerates me. Exonerates. I do apologize. I said that. I said extra rights. Exonerate. I can read. Okay. Or further my innocence. As a result, Peterson alleged that he was completely robbed and deprived of a fair trial in the artist's initial motion for a new trial. Withholding of evidence was not intended. So if he can show that there was withholding of crucial evidence, this will be one ground for a new trial. Now, this was some of the things that was supposed to be put on record before the trial was over, just like in the case where Tasha K lawyer was supposed to do, because they knew it was evidence being held. Duh. So Tory Lane's lawyer mentioned that several times, like this is wrong. I object. This is wrong. So it's a lot that's on the table to circumvent him going for an appeal. Okay. So Peterson lawyer Josie Baves and Matthew Bahamas cited multiple grounds in the motion filed last month, including a claim that the judge erroneously allowed jurors to view the September 2020 Instagram post from Tory Lane's personal account, claiming Meg's now estranged best friend, Kelsey Harris, was not the shooter. The motion for the new trial was expedited after Peterson enlisted a new representation following his conviction of all three charges against him. So he has new representation. He wasn't happy with those lawyers. Obviously, they put enough on record to get him a new trial, so he better be happy with that at least. In the letter, Lanes claimed that he was fighting for his innocence on behalf of his family, friends, of hundreds of thousands of Black and Hispanic minorities that cannot adequately fight for themselves. He also alleges that the prosecution had created a false narrative of the events surrounding the shooting of Meg Thee Stallion. A few weeks after Peterson filed the motion, Meg published an essay in Ellen calling for a safer environment for women to come forward about violent behavior without fear retaliation. She added, we must provide stronger resources for women to recover from these tragedies physically and emotionally without fear of judgment. We must do more than say her name. We must protect all women who have survived the unimaginable. Okay. Now, we're going to get more in detail about that. I'm not going to put my commentary out about that because people are going to be mad at me. I love my Black women, but and I love my Black men, but I don't like the bullshit and I don't like the trash. And I don't like people playing victim when they know they was wrong. Okay. I said all of them was wrong. Every last one of them. So we're going to talk about this subject. We're going to keep our eye on Tory Lanez and the motions that he's filing when the next court date is coming, as well as we're going to give you updates on the YSL trial. And hopefully you guys share this live. People start understanding how the trial go. And then we could write to the Board of Ethics for the judges. Shh. I'll put the link in the description. Okay? I don't know if they're going to do anything, but what's going to happen if you just a bunch of us write about what's going on? Like, this is what he's doing. Injustice. They're going to pull that nigga off that court trial so daggone fast. I'm just saying. We can't be all caught up in racketeering charges. Like, I'm a real person. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could not be involved. And if someone you know is doing something, you have nothing to do with it, but you still have ties to them, you possibly be involved in a racketeering charge. And all you can do is do what? Fight for your life. Spend all your money on lawyers to possibly file frivolous charges, argue in the court, be held in contempt while your life is on the line. This is the things that we're trying to avoid. Okay? So thank you for being here today with Grace Levi on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. I gotta go.
Answer. Because you are that, you are capable. You are gifted and you are so unique. All of the things that you may hate about yourself are your strengths. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to be different. And it's so okay to just be. The world awaits to receive you.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all. Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.